Hello, I'm going to guide myself through Sun Salutation B. So we start at the top of the mat, feel our feet into the floor, toes, big toes together and heels slightly apart, pushing the feet through the four corners. Gentle rock forwards and backwards, find that comfortable upright position. Shoulders back, open your hands facing forward, squeeze the knees to engage those quads. Gently engage your bottom muscles, your glutes. Then we are going to lift that body nice and tall, seeing how tall we can reach. And on the inhale, we are going to simultaneously bend at the hips, soften the knees, bend at the knees, bend at the hips, with an option here to bring our hands to heart center. In this position, we're going to engage our abs, so bringing the navel in through to the spine and gently tilt the tailbone under. Then we're going to exhale and we are going to hinge at the hips, softly bend at the knees. Option here to use the yoga blocks on the high, low, high, middle, low, or the floor if you choose. Option to softly bend the knees for your comfort. We want to make sure here that our hips are directly above our heels and we're in one nice straight line going up. We want to relax your neck and your head and just settle there for a moment on the exhale. Then on the inhale, we're going to bring up. Again, soften the knees, or the option to keep those knees a little bit straighter. We can have our hands on the floor, shins, or knees. In this position here, we want to elongate from the hips, from the tailbone, the sit bones. We want to elongate, a nice straight position, gazing down through the crown, pushing through the crown. And as we exhale, we want to bend down, bending at the knees. We want to step ourselves back. We're going now into the plank position. Firstly, we must make sure that we have our shoulders directly above our hands. Option here to drop to knees. So shoulders are directly above hands. We want to broaden the back. We want to separate the shoulder blades, get them as wide as we can, lift up. We want the heels to be pushing downwards. And then gently on the inhale, we want to shift forward. So our shoulders are shifting forward. Again here, option to go onto our knees, shifting forward. And then we can we want to be pushing our hands through the floor. We want to have our elbows facing backwards. Bend our elbows, going down to a halfway position, 90 degree at the elbows. And then we can drop down to the floor gently, making sure we have a little pause there at the halfway position. Option there to be on our toes, making sure we're in a nice straight line from our heel all the way up to our shoulders. Maintain pushing our shoulders through. Again, we shift forward, bend at the elbows, squeeze those elbows in. Have a short pause there, and we can drop down into a nice straight position there. Untuck your feet, untuck your toes, engage your glutes, and lift yourself up, looking forward And we are now in the upward facing dog. Make sure that we are not having our shoulders push up to our ears. We want to have our shoulders pushing down. Now we want to tuck our feet. On the exhale, we want to lift our hips up. Aim to have our bum going right up to the sky. Option here to bend knees. In this position here, we want to feel pressure going through the forelimbs. Aiming to have our ears towards our biceps. We want to elongate the body from our hips through to our hands. Ease the heels down if it feels comfortable to do so. Now from this position, we are going to bring one leg up, our right leg up. Feel free to bend that knee. And then that leg can go in 2 steps. So 1 step, 2 step through the gates of our hands. Option there to go in 1 step from here straight through the gates. Option is yours. And then in this position, we want to inhale, bring our body up, our heel pivots down, our back leg is at 45 degrees. Our front leg, we don't want to be any deeper or any further past our toes. Around 90 degrees, a nice position. Feel free to soften into that position and find where it feels comfortable for you. In this position here, we are tilting our hips to the top of the mat. Our shoulders are forward, our chin is neutral, our gaze is forward. Then we can inhale, bring our arms up, or we can have our arms here. Our feet here wants to be pressing through the mat, almost aiming to split the mat into 2. We want to have pressure through the mat. Our heel, our front heel, would like to be in line with that back heel. We want our shoulders above our heart above our pelvis. So we're in a nice upright position here. Driving ourselves nice and tall. And then we are going to exhale, pivot up, down, back down into this position. Again, we can take 1 or 2 steps back there into this planking position. Shoulders directly above our hands. Option to drop to the knees. And then bend. We want our elbows facing backwards, bend at 90 degrees, making sure our chest is going towards the center of our hands. Small pause there, and then allow ourselves to go. Option obviously there is to go onto our knees as well. Untuck our toes, up into the upward facing dog or the cobra here. Okay, in this position here, we want our shoulders back, we want to open our chest, gazing forward. If there's any sensation of discomfort in the lower back, feel free to drop down, even drop into this position here, being the Sphinx position. So from this position here, we want to retuck the toes in. In this position, we want to make sure that our shoulders are directly above our hands. Okay, we don't want to be leaning forward, we don't want to be back, and we press our shoulders down, chest open, gazing forward, tuck our toes in, and then we're going to go up, driving with our hips, driving with our tailbone and our sit bones, aiming to go up nice and high to the sky, elongating the body. Heels can go down towards the floor. We have the option of bending our knees, but the main focus here is to elongate our torso, from our hips all the way up to those fingertips. And I want that left leg this time to reach up. Option to bend knees. Before we lift that leg up, we want to make sure that we find that balance, add a little bit of weight to the right leg, and then when we feel comfortable to lift that leg up. Here we look forward, take 2 steps, or we can even assist here to ease ourselves through. Is also an option. But there's also an option of going straight through the hands and having our hands in line with our feet, looking forward. Then we're going to have that, we're going to reach up, that back heel pivots down. We want that leg to be nice and straight, and we want to tense that muscle there in our legs. Pushing through the floor, splitting the mat open. Pelvis, we want to be facing the hips in line with the top of the mat. Heel, again in line with the back heel. Foot at 45 degrees, shoulders forward, option here or here. Now we are going to exhale, bring ourselves down to this position. Pivot the foot again onto the balls of your toes, onto your feet. Dropping back here into that plank position. Option again on our knees. Making sure that we are not having our shoulder blades drop. We want to push them through there. Making sure we're nice and aligned above our elbows. We're stacking the joints. Shoulders above elbows, elbows above hands. And here, option on knees. We can shift forward or on toes. Shift forward. Bend at the hips. Bend at the elbows. Make sure the elbows are backwards and squeezing into our side. Little pause there, and we can drop down. Soften those toes and tuck those toes, and up here into that cobra position. Shoulders back, upward facing dog. Shoulders back, chest out, chin up, gazing forward. Now we can retuck our feet. Bring our hips forward, up, our hips up, guiding with the tailbone, hips as high as we can. Soften, bend the knees if you feel more comfortable in that position. We can have them more straight. Pushing the hands through the floor, long position from our hands all the way to the hips. We want 5 nice deep breaths here. Make sure we keep applying pressure through the 4 limbs. Make sure our ears are by the side of our biceps. We're in a nice tall position. Want that tailbone up nice and tall. Navel being pulled into your spine. And now here we can gently walk ourselves back. Or we have that option of a soft bounce through into halfway fold. Hands on our shins or our elbows or on our knees. From this position here, looking down, elongating the body from the hips. Breathe out, exhale, soft knees, hinging at the hips. We can use those yoga blocks in any of those positions. Inhale and back into that chair position, making sure our knees aren't past our toes. We want to be actively engaging our quads, our glutes, bringing our abs in. I know there's a lot to remember. Or we can have that option of having our hands here in the center, gazing forward, nice and tall. Then we can stand up and back into that mountain pose that we began the movement with. Shoulders back, palms forward, engaging those glutes, looking forward, keeping our body nice and tall, engaging our navel into our spine. Big breath in and finished. Okay. Thank you very much for watching.